Okay. What a disorganized start to the stream. As usual. Xcoding. Hello. How you doing? I suppose, being that it's discovered it as a screen, might be able to get away with that. No. Or maybe. I'm good. I'm good. Seems I've almost got away with it. The font size. Okay. I have a chat. It'll do for now. Delete board. Delete board. Playing a bit with C. Nice. Just because it was fun. Onward to notifications. That's gonna have to go from. So that's gonna start this weekend and run till then. Okay. I was wanting to know how to build an OS from scratch. Okay. So that's some ambition right there. I get it. I understand the desire there. That's a good challenge, I suppose. Yeah, I've often questioned, like, how does it initialize things? How does it um you know, how do you communicate with the low level hardware to understand? Yeah, it's definitely something that's fascinating. But yeah, I decided to let that be and leave that to the big brains. Hey, Rezcoda. Rezicoda. I'm so small. Yeah. I apologize. I'll bring to the point of something simple and done. Yeah, that makes sense. Just to get the understanding, I get it. Yeah. Beginning my journey in software engineering. If I want to follow you, then from which project I should start, please let me know which video. This playlist is not so clear to distinguish. Hey, Swap on. So the project I focused the most on stream is Liquid Sky, which is the Agile platform. There is a playlist. Well, there should be, yep, an Agile platform playlist. That is 125 videos right now. That is the one you probably want to follow if you want to, yeah. The code for this is not open source, unfortunately, because it is a project that I intend to build a product out of. But there's a lot of videos on there. There's open source components to it, and I'm always happy to talk about things, answer questions. There is a Discord as well. If you are interested in joining a Discord and you want to ask any questions, you're more than welcome to. It's not a big community, but it is becoming a more active and open community. So, yeah. Why, why, why let me start the program and then have, yeah. I can never get my webcam size right. It's always bigger. I I put the camera on because it helps people if I'm just sat there looking at something, etc. You understand that the stream's not just silent. So if you're joining the stream and you see me, yeah, but I am not the focus of the stream, right? So the camera size is good down there in the corner. Yeah, it's a good size. Doesn't take too much away from the code. Okay, let's switch these. So if you're interested in seeing the project I work on, I'm about to open it up, and I'll happily demonstrate it. He says he opens the wrong project. No, cancel. Open Liquid Sky. This window. So Liquid Sky is the code name for my large project. I've done a lot of different things on stream. There is also let's see if I get it set up. No, no command. Let's go to Streamlabs. See if I got that set up. A lot of things I do on stream, I do share. And there's open source components that I've built for Liquid Sky, such as the Kafka components, the mediator components. They're all things that I share. I know, I know. I'm fixing that. Hopefully. What's the point in? What's the point in allow me to add a link and then not enable it? There we go. So on the if you're just starting out and you're interested in projects, then there's some of the ones on TBD Friends. There are some smaller projects there that are a little bit more simple to take in. There is a project, Water Drink Water, on there that we started a while back that I've just kind of put on temporary hold for now. Well, to give people a chance if they're interested in picking it up and looking at it. That is a project aimed at trying to help people contribute to projects to do all that sort of stuff. And then if we do little side projects on the stream, we put it on the TBD Friends repository. Bun. Prettier integration enabled by default. Tailwind sits as previewing completion. Nice. Supports as felt. JavaScript. Nice. And PHP Storm and Rider got nothing. Okay. Interesting projects. I do a lot of different things. They changed the icon for WebStorm there. Looks like it. Looks lighter. But yeah, Liquid Sky is my main project. It is a site. It is a project, a labor of love at this point. getting on for at least 11 months worth of work across what you can see 125 streams in the YouTube playlist. I generally work on it from 7 till 9 on a weekday. Some weekends, my stream has not been has not had streaks enabled on it, so I don't have to worry about ruining people's streaks when I stream on weekends. But yeah, if you have any questions, thoughts, opinions, I'm always open to talk about stuff. Let's see how far this got along. It started. There you go. So right now the UI is very rough. It's meant to be rough. It's not meant to be perfect. It's meant to be a work in progress, but getting the concepts in there. The idea being that you click on one of these and you can see the planning that goes into it, what it is you're trying to do, the requirements that you're adding. This is going to become more fleshed out. Eventually, there's going to be editors and stuff. Any attachments are on the thing, and the changes. This is the piece we just worked on. So the goal of this was to demonstrate that I can understand when individual things changed, and now I can provide. So I have this ability to do the notification up here, which is just tell me when things change against this thing. So if someone else changes something on this thing, it will appear. It will tell me in my notifications here. What I've got to figure out right second is what do I want to focus on next? Where's my energy best spent? Because we're at the point in the project where there are so many different things that need to move to make forward progress that it's hard. And I like to show progress on the stream. I don't like to just sit there and um and uh code all the time, because if you can't see something from an engagement perspective on the stream, it makes it a lot harder because you're just seeing me code and you don't know unless you're following along very closely, which I doubt most are. You don't really grasp what I'm trying to do or all the pieces. So yeah. But yeah, if anyone has any questions on this, you're more than welcome to ask. I'm happy to go through the technologies. I'm happy to stop and review things. And if you think I'm doing something wrong, if you've got a different experience, I'm happy to hear it. I love talking about this stuff. I love learning, and I don't necessarily assume that I know everything and that, you know, I've got all the answers to everything. So yeah. Okay. So what I got to figure out today is how I'm moving forward with this. Now I could do some of this cleanup stuff, right? And finish off some of these. So this comes with a design challenge, actually. So it's probably worth talking about. So generally the platform functions like this, where this UI is reading all its data from GraphQL. It is when I update something, it goes through an API, it changes something, right? Introduce. I wonder why Spotify insists I listen to the song "You're So Vain" every morning. I don't know. Maybe someone's got your account and is listening to "You're So Vain." Skip the song halfway through. um, Inbox. That structure design, but main topic is probably coupling and cohesion. Let's read two chapters. Nice. Cohesion is more important. Fine, there are 7 levels of it. Okay. Educational, sequential, and functional are considered highly cohesive. Those two have to do with separating processes by data passes. Okay. Which I think all of your system elements are separated by queues. Yeah, pretty much. Well, no, everything is separated by queue. Yeah. Subscribe to highly cohesive as well. Okay. Well, that bot doesn't predate OOP. I had wondered about OOP. OOP had been around for a long time by that point already. We had Jeffrey Winkle, assign projects. This is changes, notifications, UI. Interesting. So it loads. Book is mid-70s. Yep. I got the prompter working, by the way, which is why I'm looking straight up there all the time. it makes reading chat so much easier because I can see it move up there. I don't have to keep looking to my right. Okay. So we have the inbox behavior. The idea was we'd add a requirement. The user should be able to mark a message as read. Funny something about in our age of multi-megabyte hardware disks, talking as if that's a lot of memory. Back then it was in the 70s. Don't forget, it wasn't until the 80s and 90s that we had floppy disk, like 3.5-inch floppy disks. They started off as 720K. Yeah. So, yeah, like the concept of a terabyte hard drive was terrifying back then. It would be the size of a room. Maybe not the size of a room, but it would be big for having a terabyte. Um, I was thinking if I had to implement everything in assembly, I'm gonna have to take a lot of care in where the code goes. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It's why I've I've been fascinated by assembly for a long time. I would love to go off and spend some time doing some assembly. Specifically, I want to write a Nintendo game. Right, that'd be like super cool because I think it would be a fascinating exercise in understanding old hardware, in understanding the machine that um, got me interested in video games. I was thinking a calculator. Even that would be difficult, but again, a lot of time to spend. A lot of I just don't have that sort of brain power these days. I'm the geek. Hello, how are you doing? Good afternoon. Um, um, when the user clicks on a message, it should take them to the planning item. So I need to create a detail page actually. We might do that today. Still considering it because it's different. I stream. Yeah. Sorry, I can't tell the difference between my messages, the Streamlabs messages, on my messages. So I just almost started reading my own Streamlabs messages there. I'm still considering it because it's such a different experience than everything else. The chance of a unique takeaway from that is pretty high. Yeah, yeah. 6502 assembler for the NES. I downloaded some tools a while ago and I thought I can't spend that time. I just don't want to um divert. Mojo, good morning. How you doing? Like, this should automatically mark the message as read. It's Shinty Stream Mojo, but just didn't have the energy. I chose last night. I chose to do a black belt karate class, which was grappling, and then go straight into a cardio kickboxing class. I was tired, and then got up at 4 a.m. It's going to catch up with me soon. Although I'm dreading, I'm going to Texas next week, and I haven't staying in a hotel room is always dangerous for me because it's quiet and it's just I can relax. So I'm scared I'll oversleep and miss my meetings. um so can see that's red. User should be able to click a um well, like ellipsis. So this is kind of what I'm expecting to do. Like I want them to describe what they think the system behavior should be. What they can obviously add more information here. We'll be able to attach. Eventually, we'll be able to attach attachments to requirements. Or the highest level of equation has to do with equations or algorithms, think like square root functions, etc. Hmm. That's weird. Why did that show Andrew? I shouldn't show Andrew. I'm not Andrew. Oh, this is broken. Yeah, something broke that. Interesting. Make UI inbox behavior. I mean, that didn't change from that to that at all. Requirements is still one of the things that needs using real life there. Yeah. As I start to move towards dog food in the application, I want to start producing items that look similar to what I'm expecting so I can think through that process and start treating and start essentially testing it myself. We're going to start something simple though today. We're going to do a detail screen. I think that's what we're going to focus on. And I kind of bundled it up into that last thing, doing changes. Hey, Mark in the Cloud, how you doing? I gotta figure out those name labels in that thing because that is ridiculous. Appearance. That doesn't help me. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm not help. Right now I'm just trying to figure out how to theme. I've got restream chat up on the screen, up on the what's the thing called? Prompter. So I can read it, but everyone's names are in dark green. So oh well. Well I'll figure it out. I can always glance over here to see who it is that said something. Um this allows me to speak to the screen and then I can read it and I can just glance up and I don't have to keep going that way. Okay, so introduce detail screen for planning items. Nice. That stands out. Yeah. Well, it's pink on mine. When I click inbox message, I should be taken to detail screen of the planning item. So what this is demonstrating to me right now is that there are so many different pieces, so many moving parts of this application at this stage where I can go in all sorts of different directions, and I'm going to have to figure out a good way of keeping track of where my um where my ideas are and where my necessary items are. So the necessary items such as like fixing that bug there. There's a defect somewhere in there that when I click on an item when it's been loaded, I shouldn't be able to um so what happened there is I created a new item and it shows in here by default, but it hasn't got all the details, so it doesn't load this back up, this panel, because when you click on these, it tries to make a server call, right? Similarly, things like the changes, well, this isn't displaying correctly, right? These requirements aren't done this way. This should show the summary of the requirements, and that's not a from to either. That's a why that's calculated as a diff, I don't know. But again, I haven't gone into the requirements piece yet, so that's not healthy. So I need to track those things. Again, because space is going away, I don't want to just keep adding items into space because that's going to create a problem. So I've kind of got a chicken and egg situation. What I might do in the interim is create a Trello board and create these items in Trello, which will allow me to track the smaller things in brief before we get to the point where this is working. But it is going to become more important because there's things that are just refinements, and these are things that PMs don't necessarily consider when they're building these stories up. They don't consider some of the side effects, and we don't often consider the side effects, right? The fact that the changes system is at least showing this is really good to me because it means that um, it's resilient enough to tell me that it does know that it changed, and I would see this and now know, oh, I need to go fix the changes. So that's a good sign so far. Yeah, but we'll get there. We'll get there. It's just bit by bit, day by day. Yeah. So all I'm going to focus on today is I'm going to focus on clicking in this and then showing up a detail screen for those individual planning items. So then we'd put an icon here somewhere. Again, icons right now are just kind of rough, but the idea would be there'd be some bars, like a bar up here of icons. This one I still want to put like somewhere here to make sure it indicates collapse. I think it should actually live up in the top left hand corner, but yeah. And obviously, the reason I'm not focused on that part is because I want to show the concept, not actually refine the idea, because I think that I want to get a full UI UX pass of this. I want to look at things like colors, things like schemes. So like this does theme as white, but that's just pure luck that it does that. And it's not totally unusable like this. But yeah, so we can put it back in dark mode. And I've noticed a lot of the planning apps do default to light mode for certain. And I wonder why that is, but I'm not going to panic about these things right this second. So let's get this detail screen in there. So for right now, we're going to create an issue board, introduce detail for planning. We're going to do T99. We merged everything from the changes, so that's in a good shape. T99, introduce detail screen for planning item. Great. Yeah, they did change the icon of that. Oh, it's more like the PyStorm one now. Okay, this is going to be fun. So in planning, we have planning items as our, this is the landing page, right? So this has the add form, it has the open detail, which is the panel, it has the item detail, we have initiatives and dashboard. And then I broke out all the other stuff as components. So I think what I want to do here is have a view that is planning item detail. And it's not the component. So maybe we want to rename this. Planning item detail panel component. Actually, what if we rename this planning item summary? It's not really a summary though. Because if I create a thing here, it's going to be planning item detail component, which is going to conflict with that. And that's going to make that very confusing. The alternative is I create a components folder under here. Let's create a components folder. This is one thing I like about Angular and running it. It's not going to go crazy here. So let's create this and this. This. So the problem is requirements, attachments, and changes are all shared components, right? The table and this are not. This is deliberately a separate button. And has the planning item attached to it, which I probably should make planning item is equal to import planning item. No. It's not going to work, is it? GF, which that means if it gets there, that has to be there. Let's try that. Yeah, now we got to rearrange things. So the components here, where you see it. Okay. So things are still working. That's good. And that's still working. One of the things I've got to learn. So these messages that are coming up here, these add planning item component things. So the signal stores are composed of features. And the problem is that to try and get the signal stores to make sense, I've broken up the features differently. And I think I've done it incorrectly. So basically on a signal store, go to stores, planning item store. You can see I have with planning items, query with planning items, right? I think I'm thinking about these in the wrong way, because then I have with request status and with refresh status. These aren't really features as much as anything else, but these add with state and with computed. So these are set in, so I can mark it as in progress, and I can mark it as does it need to be refreshed, etc. And then so these three all kind of set state. We can see what it's complaining about is I'm redefining some of these things time and time again. So it's like I think I'm composing these in the wrong. I'm thinking about these in the wrong way, because to me, what it meant was you could potentially create a set of features and then compose stores as you needed in the right places. So you could set the features out at the higher level, and then in a module you could kind of define a store and add the features you wanted it to have. So if you wanted a read-only store, you could actually have the store as read-only. But I think I'm off base there, I think. Okay, so the app isn't broken. That was a good change. So let's make that change. Well, we have two challenges there. Subscribe to planning item component. Shift subscribe to planning item component over to signal for input. I think Sol Link still enabled in this one. I think that updated this. Yeah, it did. It removed those automatically, and then it refactored the routes. Move planning item detail and table into components of planning items view. That view. One thing I've been considering recently is just how commit messages make absolutely no sense. So if you've got a project or you've got a solution that has 74 projects in it, and you make a commit against the repo with something generic, it makes absolutely no sense to glance at that PR, to glance at that commit message. Yeah. So it's interesting. So yeah, I've been considering what it means to do those things. Okay. So baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. So we did that. We've got that now in place. So now planning items has a detail component. Being that this is planning, I could do with a bit of renaming here. Compiler commit messages they are amazing. overall, on this, they create some really weird stuff, and it does give me stuff I didn't do. Let's see. No, Copilot chat. Um, can you create? See there, it just lied. If I do a bunch of changes, we'll test it again. Because obviously right now it's got like nothing in it. But I saw it do that on stuff I was actually doing. So let's create a new view here. Component. Detail. No, this is not right. This is not right. So planning consists of more than planning items. Right now, it only consists of planning items, which is what's focusing me here. I don't believe so. I think Copilot's Copilot, but we'll give it a test afterwards. It does create very verbose commit messages for certain. It's not necessarily bad. It's just it creates stuff and it's just made up. It's made up things I didn't do. But that being said, it does solve the problem of what I just said, where because there's so much in this repository at this point, a single commit message of fixed a thing has no value to the entire project. Every commit message has to have some context at this point. And I've got to get better at writing them. You can't if we're squashing, then maybe. But yeah. I've recently had my views tested on squash, and I kind of flip flop a little bit on the squash concept. Okay. What we're going to do is we are going to rename this one to planning items. That's dashboard for planning items. Initiatives is going to be its own view with its own controls, etc. Planning items. Yeah, that's the planning dashboard, not the planning items dashboard. I want to squash because I swap between computer software and I'll have half working code committed just to swap PCs. Move what you dislike, keep what you like. Yeah. If I'm going for smaller commits, it's going to be much easier. If I make the mistake of not committing frequently and that commit message is massive that it creates, I have to read through and understand it. I'm going to test it. I'll test it again a little bit. We'll see how good it does. Where it helps to find is that it actually reminds you what you did, which is good. So even if you use it as a template and say go get it goes and gets the context of what it's doing and gives you a list of everything you did, even if you forgot what you did, and you can then pick and choose. So I think it's a good template. I don't disagree with that part. And I'm looking at that screen again, and I've got that. I got the prompter enabled deliberately so I could look at the screen, the prompter. I'm now trying to swap to working on other features when I swap PCs, so I don't have to commit. It's not a great reason to be committing, moving between PCs. from a workflow perspective, I suppose. Mr. Anholm, good morning. How's it going? Also, by the way, after stream yesterday, I wiped the mini PC, reinstalled Minikube, and I went through some steps on how to install Minikube and get Kubernetes installed, and it failed. So I'm going to start again. That's why Squash exists. But Squash is just, yeah. So I actually did it yesterday at work for the first time. I'd made a bunch of commits, and we needed to merge a branch, and the guy I was working with was like, you need to squash those commits, because otherwise, if we have to roll back any of this, because your other changes are in there, it's going to make a mess of deployments. We need to squash these commits when we do the merge into the actual main branch, which I kind of got the intention of, yeah. So I did the squash on my branch, and then that branch was good to merge as a single branch with one commit message. They merge so many different stories into production at once that if they have to roll back one specific feature or remove one specific feature from the release, it's hard to do if there's a bunch of commits that got wound in. Found yet another bug with the Twitch mobile app. I clicked the notification and unmuted the home Twitch. So I had you and another streamer playing, thinking you were playing a Twitch stream. I hate the new mobile app. That's why I like the pull then push. Huh. Considering they've been putting a lot of DJs and stuff on the front page of Twitch recently. Might have been fun. Okay, so let's rename this. So this is almost dashboard. No. Pull then merge, I guess. Copy main onto the feature branch, then merge it. Well, that's a rebase, right? You rebase your branch with main. And then do the PR. And then do the so many different ways of doing it. Like, so many different ways of messing it up. Again, I think you learn most of the lessons when you start to do it for real with multiple people. I don't think you learn a lot when you're using GitHub as a solo. To be a feature, it happens every time I click a notification jumps the app. Rant over. That's weird though that it yeah, it does it that way. Could be, but Rider makes it confusing because I don't know which branch I want to rebase on top of. Yeah. Still trying the Docker. I did tinker with it a bit last night. I was gonna see if I could get it up and running enough to try today. I reinstalled Ubuntu yesterday. I went with Ubuntu just because it's something I've gone through before. I installed containered, however you say it, because from what I understand, containerd is an alternative to Docker, I believe. And I installed Kubernetes again. I installed Minikube and kubectl, etc. I installed Kubernetes again, and then I went to get the status of the pods, and it was like not ready. And it was like no memory, no storage, no nothing. I'm like, yeah. Well, that's all I want. I want Kubernetes on the machine, so I'm installing Ubuntu server and doing that. So I'm gonna have to go through it all again and figure out which step I missed. I was following. Saw an article from 2024. Did I close the article? Yes, I did, because I'm an idiot. Minikey should be pretty straightforward to get working. I've done it at least 6 times. Unless something gets changed with it. Or I'm an idiot. This is a possibility. History. Yesterday. Trust me, DevCon's telling you not to go down that hole yet. I got to figure out what that hole looks like soon. Whether it be, yeah, whatever that hole be, I have to go down it soon. Because if I go too much bigger on this project without actually trying to figure out how to install it and deploy it, then it's going to be even more demoralizing when I can't get it to work later on. That's one of the guides I followed the majority of, I believe. So, and I just think that as much as I don't want to, I can't keep putting it off. I do need to attack. I do need to attack the whole. Okay, how do I deploy this? Because if it changes my architecture, if it changes the tooling I'm going to use, like obviously Aspire, Mojo's been working with me a little bit, and he did get um he did get Aspire running the app almost. But then there's the things that are Aspire specific, like the Kafka stuff that I want to review, and there's a whole lot more in there that I'm using that Aspire kind of does some of, etc. So it's understanding how I'm going to deploy this is I want to do sooner rather than later before I go even further down the rabbit hole. Morning Trap. Containerd isn't an alternative to Docker per se. It's more of a standard abstraction for setting up containers. Yeah, there's so much to take in. Understanding um I just gotta get my head around it. Ad break. Sorry. Okay, let's this needs to be renamed. It's not a dashboard, it's planning items home. Yep. Home components. Yes. You still work? Yes, you do. That's why it's more for local dev and only really it deploys to Azure. So you're still going to have to go through all the stuff if you want to deploy to Kubernetes. I think so. Here's my thinking so far, and I'm happy to be corrected. Being the way that I've developed the application, being the way I've designed the things, Kubernetes makes the most sense. Obviously, moving to app services and stuff in Azure, moving to any platform specific thing would take some design, right? Because I would have to reconsider what the components are. If I want to make them cloud specific, or I want to consider making them oh, sorry. Yeah, to move these things around and make it cloud provider friendly, I'd have to do some refactoring to change things about. So Kubernetes makes the most sense to me. as far as the deployment strategy goes, because I can deploy it locally, I can test it, I can demonstrate it. Ah. Um, I don't want to. I don't want to plan on. I mean, I had conversations with Deflux about using things like Azure Functions instead of, because I think he believes that I shouldn't be doing large services, etc., and websites and APIs and stuff. I could be using Azure Functions for a lot of stuff, and I don't like that idea. I don't like the idea of the orchestration of those functions, etc., to perform the application. Um, Kubernetes is the industry standard for process orchestration, so that alone makes it the space to look at first. So, so yeah, to me, it makes sense to try and get the Kubernetes thing up and running. If I can get it where I can start the services, I can run console still, I can communicate with Kafka, I can do all those things. I can get in, get access to the components. It does make sense. Um, um, because then I can leave the decision of cloud provider or not to a later point as well. But I am going to have to tackle it sooner rather than later because I can't keep putting it off. That's a certain. Okay. Planning items. So there's views, planning items. Um, Spire is cloud agnostic. If you want to have this be something you can sell, you simply cannot make it CSP specific unless you're building a SaaS. Even then, I'm not suggest doing that. Yeah. I want to, even if I never take this to any product level, I want to treat it like I'm going to do. Right. I want to build it. I want to continue to make it look like a product and put the effort in as if I would. I mean, obviously not at the pace I would do if I was trying to make this a product. I'd be trying a lot harder, right? There's a lot of things I could be doing differently and not faffing around and changing things and refactoring things all the time. But I would like to move it forward as if it would be a product. They claim to be working with AWS for Aspire components, but at the end of the day, you can generate a Kubernetes configuration. How is Aspire cloud agnostic? It doesn't provide deployment hotspots, is it? Okay. Do I create a? So I've got components in here, and this shows components, views, planning items. Do I want a nested views folder? Views, planning items, views, detail. Or do I just want the component? I don't like the idea of the component being dumped in here. Um, so I'm gonna do it. Component detail. It's not a component. It is a page. There you go. That's how we're gonna do it. We're then going to go to the routes. And that doesn't work right now. So that's interesting. I want to go to the detail. Component. Because that's going to be a full page. Um, Yeah, the whole deployment story, the whole thing is exactly why DevOps exists, right? As a discipline unto itself, because there's so much to do here. Um, like I have at best about 3.5 to 4 hours a day at best where I have any time for learning or doing anything. Like the stream is the 2 hours. If I overrun a little bit, that's fine, but that's the only time I have to really do anything. So for me to try and do the development and take in all the Kubernetes stuff and understand all that in great depth is going to be challenging. Um, but I'm going to do my best, and that's why I think I need to do something soon so that I can start to deploy this and demonstrate it off actual distinct hardware. Keep working on it, keep moving it forward. Um, yeah. Okay. So this is details are showing. Okay. So yeah. So now what I want to do is when I click on this, I want to go to the planning item detail. Let's make that happen. So dashboard here we have the app inbox. Right now everything is a just show they're trying to keep it agnostic, especially about in things like key cloak, seek, etc. It appears they are trying to prevent users from being locked into Azure projects. But you are locked into you are locked into their way of doing the providers, right? If they're adding those as components to add in, they're trying to make plug and play deployment. I get that, and it's a nice idea, but then you're tied into their way of doing things as well, which is a challenge. And eventually, from what I've seen so far, from what you demonstrated the other day, Mojo, it is relatively simple to use Aspire with this without actually touching any of the components, right? Um, it certainly is more plausible, and I hope they keep heading in that direction where you could. It's basically just it's basically essentially the same as hitting full stack here and going, but it just allows it to pull all the logs and stuff together, and it doesn't do any things. But you need that host program running. You need that needs to orchestrate everything and manage stuff. So you are locked into their way of doing that if you want those tools. But um, I believe it will stay. Um, I, I think it is a tool that they are trying to make an easy way to do deployment. Um, they don't just provide anything but an easy way to configure the local development. Uh, which a lot of like you yourself, Mr. Anhorn, you don't do development locally, do you? Or you haven't done. You've done stuff in uh, cloud stuff, which completely negates the need for some of the stuff, or negates the usefulness of being able to run something like Aspire. Well, again, my concern is if we're having to deal with Microsoft implementations of some of these tools, like Docker, Microsoft have been their Docker file production stuff was broken for a while, right? In in Visual Studio, um, it wouldn't produce the right file, so you had to correct things. If you do that with Aspire and they've got it wrong, you're relying upon them. Um, Not usually infra service discovery from either local to cloud services, but it's not plug and play. So, I mean, I think Aspire's cool. I think the idea of it is just awesome. Um, I just don't think it fits with what I'm doing here because there's other things that I need. My Aspire is an easy way to spin up multiple services, different repos packages. I could use it for local data. Yeah, like their fluent configuration stuff does look pretty cool, but your app host is basically building this. Um, I mean, it's kind of an ultimate, like an easy infrastructure as code, right? Almost. Um, Everything in a single repo Aspire works really well. I actually use it for all my single repo parts. Nice. Yeah, like I said, Mojo got it up and running. He got Liquid Sky up and running as a demonstrator, a few of the services pretty quickly in Aspire, just adding the host, the app host. Yeah, that's not going to happen, but that shouldn't happen, right? That I always wondered why. Um, I don't know if it's in. I don't think it's. I don't think it's built into Rider the same way. It's not really built into Rider, but I always wondered why there was a. You'd right click on a project and be able to hit deploy or whatever in Visual Studio, right? Which is why Aspire is not Magic Bone for development. Yeah. Okay, let's get this. So details are showing. So we want inbox, which is a shared component. I gotta trim these down now. I don't have a lot of these things in use now. Do I click the row or do I click do I click a button or something? Um, Also that looks awful, but message store, the inbox store, the inbox query, the inbox message. I don't put the what was it? Application. Copy value. Did Chrome update their dev tools? Oh no, I'm just an idiot. I've been copying that all the time and it's been right there. I'm having a day. I'm having a day of calling myself an idiot today. Oh well. Yeah, do I want to update now? Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, you just didn't do anything. That's cool. Apply that. Aspire is probably going to have more pushback from ops than any other team. If a dev can create a 15 service microservice application without going through the pain of deploying it, ops will just revolt. So this is something I've been considering a lot recently. In a world where in a world in a world where developers and operations, because DevOps is a thing, but they are filling the ops role. They're not really developers. So in that world, do you have how do you effectively design software if you don't have the ops people to talk to all the time because they're off doing ops? You do need that DevOps role to interact with, to understand limitations, to understand costs, to understand challenges. I can do like again this system, and I always remember the person that came in the stream. I can't remember who it was, but they came in the stream. They're like, "Well, this isn't cloud ready because it's not. It's not built for that. I'm building it in a more traditional style, obviously. It can be deployed to Kubernetes, but that doesn't make it, um, platform or software as a service. It makes it infrastructure. So when you're trying to figure out how to solve problems in the developing software, do you go off and do it, or do you spend a long time trying to explain your vision to ops people and then try and come up with some? Because they're going to choose the simplest path, right? I mean, an individual developer in any company shouldn't be building 15 microservice applications, but they do. I just, I've witnessed a few um, designs that are, they would be an issue for ops people. So where does the developer begin? 99% just want to code. Exactly. Where does the developer begin and end? And where does the DevOps/ops begin and end? And it does, because ultimately the deployment method has a big impact on the software. And there's things that are easier for ops people, but harder for developers. So where do you find that blend, right? Because from my perspective, this is a developer product, right? If an ops person was doing it, they might design it very differently because it's easier for deployment. But that would make the code harder to understand and harder to read potentially because they might merge things. They might not, so should you figure out the end deployment solution before you begin the development and aim for that and then try and fit everything you do around that? I hope that makes sense. I'm just kind of posing it as a hypothetical, not as an actual, I'm going to start changing the way I do things, but it is something that is on my mind. View infrastructure, domain, entities, view inbox message. Did I really not pull any dates or times out of that? So the actual table in inbox definitely has dates on it. Date added, date sent. Yeah, I don't know exactly as well, but I would really like others to make the decision for me. So I definitely think software. I'm grabbing COVID. I'll be setting up our Aspire apps CI/CD pipeline sometime this month and we'll report back. All good. Date added, date sent. I mean, date sent is the one that matters. Did I not add it in the view now? Did I add it in the view and forget it? I did add it in the view. Okay. I have no clue how to install Notion. All the download links. Just trying to open the desktop app. I just want to reinstall the app after you damn crash. Oof. Public date time stamp. Oh, that's a problem. I need to do something here. Modify view. This needs to be UTC, otherwise it won't actually. So what's the term here? Scripts view. at time zone UTC. As date sent. There we go. As UTC. Because that's right, it's tracking it as UTC. That's the date it gets put in as UTC. Just it attaches the server default. So this way, I force it to be that way. Let's do this. Why does that feel? Because just copied that. SQL scripts generate DDL. That now has date sent on there. So it does mean that I have public date time offset as date sent. No, that doesn't need that. And then we should be able to rebuild that one. Second page for Bing search. Huh. So they're all launch links by default. Ugh. This has become my my go-to collector for everything there. The only problem I have with this is that I cannot get the GitHub integration to work to actually commit these notes. It just goes commit every time. Let's get that. That should give me date sent on here now. Yes. So now I can do date sent. Yep, and I get it in UTC. Okay, so now on this side, we can do date sent as a date. Will that work? Nice. So that's our inbox. Let's get our inbox component, and then that should be message.date sent. Oh, we need to change the GraphQL query as well. We're going to do that. We can't just share stores, inbox query feature. So that goes to get inbox, which is here, and then we do date sent. We've got any commas on there, you know? So up until so I'd worked with Teams in my past place, and now I work with Slack. And Slack in a large organization with lots of people is just chaos. Because that many channels get created that you don't know which channels to go to necessarily do one thing, and then you don't know who's in that channel, and you need to know is I think it's chaos. Okay, so that has that now. So inbox here, and the idea is this I can embed everywhere else. There must be an easy way to do this. Calculate days. Is there a library to format that for me? What's that called? Friendly display. I like how I get more results when I type friendly display than calculate, including better links on how to calculate. I might be focusing on the wrong thing here, but oh, okay. Not using moment. Is day.js what I want? Yeah. I know that they're completely disconnected. I'm just looking for any sort because moment is kind of too heavy these days. Okay. Version. Use day.js is really good. Nice. Okay. Say dependency. Yes. Time from now. Relative time plugin. Acquired day.js plugin. Do I have to install that? Oh, that's just to the same page. Just enable it, I assume. Let's give it a go. This might help me anyway. So inbox TS. And then we're gonna do ads. Let's do so that's the display time from now. So can I import that? Is it an Angular? It's not an Angular library though, is it? Use day.js. Okay. Import star as day.js from day.js. Okay, that's how you do it. And then on init. You need to import the plug. Okay, so I need the that's relative time. Yeah, I get that. JS. Kind of prefer the capitalization. No, I don't. But why don't you like that? This expression is not callable. Is that because I have to do whatever they were talking about there? If your TS contains the following config, um, extend. Okay, so that works. Okay. So then in here, I should be able to do day.js dot day.js message dot date sent dot from now. And everything will work fine. That's what it did. Can't bind to date time since it isn't a known property of time. Time from now. Let's not do this part. Let's see if we can get the message update sent in there first before we worry too much. Oh, that's not. Oh, okay. So it's the time field that's causing the problem, not the. That's the actual problem. He says. Microsoft integrating Jira first into their Notion competitive will not be funny to me. They understand ADO sucks. Okay, so that does give me that. And then we can do day.js dot from 14 days ago, 3 days ago, 3 days ago, 3 days ago. Nice. So what's the time component represents a specific period of time? It may include the date time to translate dates into machine readable format, allowing for better search engine results. Okay, I don't need to panic about that. But it can't take a time. Okay. Either way, that's there. Now procrastinated enough. That was just bugging me that it was useless. Ahref. No, this is a route. A router link equals planning detail. Okay, so that should be a planning item. Identifier 803. Yeah, that's that one. Okay. So commit. Include the JS library. A lot of people like Azure DevOps. I assume you mean Azure DevOps when you say ADO, not their data connectivity library stuff. One line uses Azure DevOps. The dream of perfect game emulation gets closer with a filter designed to make retro games sound as bad as they did on your family TV in the 80s. Okay. I use Azure DevOps, but that's mainly because I have an enterprise license for it without having to pay for it. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna do this became detail. Planning items to become. No, that's not detail. Introduce detail page for planning items. GitHub was not as big as when I started using it, but I do want to move my 150 repos over to GitHub, but it's just tedious to do. Oof. And they don't give you any path there? Include dates and the inbox. And then message you can view. Shift find items component to become home components under find items view. This is all moving around. I'm not messing around with Copilot on this. Inbox include date send box view. Gotta figure that out. Don't want to do that. Solo lint, by the way, is disabled on my main on Rider because it is it crashes all the time. I don't fancy chasing down a tool that just helps try and keep things cleaner at this point. No, I can link repos to GitHub, but I can't just move it over. I have to clone each repo, change the origin, and push up. So I guess it could be scripted and add to my to-do list. I can use GitHub CLI to do this, I think. I hear you, but my main gripe with that anti-directory, Azure DevOps is communicating what I'm working on with other teams. Other teams being not the development teams though. Other teams being like what? this is doing, right? Like showing, yeah, showing where you are with things. Uh, okay, so we have the app views with so now we need the detail page. What does detail look like? App, modules, planning, views, planning items, detail. So this is going to have to known bugs as a home enduro, so customer support can go see known issues easily. Right. Napalm, good morning. Hope you are well. So we need on this one, this is not an input, this is a router. So CTOR, private, router, router. Um, yeah, stop this being an actual detail page, didn't I? Is this a router state? I know. Router dot. I never remember how to do this. I know that I've got to get the arguments from the router. I can never remember which router, etc. Angular router get route arguments. A little tired. I spent entirely too long last night getting cracking configuration, working with envars and config. Pain in the butt when you have to write them in JSON without valid JSON. router, this router, activated route. That's what I'm actually after. That makes sense. That route dot params. You can subscribe to it. Angular 18 activated route. Yeah. I'm sure this documentation will give me all the necessary demonstrations I need. Oh, why would you do that? Why would you link to something that demonstrates how to use the thing? I got default C light and he's presenting it on it at what today? Oh dear. This is, by the way, this is an opinion, but this is how you end up with 5 years from now a technology stack that's creaking and has issues. Is, hey, I've spent 5 minutes doing this thing, it's cool, let's use it in depth. Like Deflux presenting it in after a day, like you just get yourself into trouble by trying to introduce technology because it's shiny, and all the quirks and all the technologies and stuff like that you don't get to understand a lot of. And that's how you end up with a technology stack that is struggling years later. I'm all for using the right technologies. I'm all for using good technology, but if you're not but you've got to decide how much of an understanding you need on something. It's like if I went to, um, I can't say I could happily get Kubernetes up and running in 5 minutes. Yeah. I've been doing it at my employer too. It was very well received. 3 hours last night trying to help with it, him with it. But he's trying to hook it up to WASL and frameworks for maybe. Yeah, meet some budget needs for my team. I think both me and defaults are in stats. I already do that. Yeah, but you got to be careful adding new technologies. Is all I'm saying. Like I don't. I'm not saying don't use new technologies. I'm saying that you've got to measure um, the the benefits of introducing the technology and how much you don't know and how much people assume you know when something. Good afternoon, something PHP something. Good afternoon, Mr. Jones. How you doing? but but I'm using them on a project that I'm in no rush to do it. Right. I'm using them so I understand them and understand my limitations of them. Right. I know where my weak points are. And I'm not building business critical applications of these. And again, I'm just saying it's a it's a it's a balance that has to be understood. I'm not saying don't do it. I've done it. I'm not. It's just experience of having done that, the limitations of doing that. um, I've introduced Kafka. I've used Kafka in production and learned what I don't know. Right. The reason I'm using him so much here is because of that having had that experience. So yeah, the idea that just it's shiny, go present it is nice, but you got to. I don't know if you're going to come up against more resistance if you don't know a ton. I don't even have the built-in iLogger at work. No. Activated route. This drives me nuts. Like routing, common routing tasks. Sure, I wouldn't introduce Kafka to anything we are doing. I know very little about it. I want to introduce Kubernetes, but I'm just nuts. Yeah. I Again, like I said, this project is starting to open up to the point where there's so many different things to focus on. And that's the problem you get with production with work stuff, right? Do you focus on the development experience? Do you focus on the deployment experience? Do you focus on refinements? Like the developers as a whole, um, just have a lot to deal with. But that's not with component input binding. On provide router. Hold on. Provide router. No, router module. The child. That's not. Close his head out the cable, so doing. Oh, it's right here. Mono online. How you doing? Hello, buddy. That is not the same. Provide router. But I don't have provide router. No, it's just a set of routes. Router module versus provide router. Using the root app module to configure the main routing module for your entire application. This is primary most common way to set up routing. Provides a more granular way to configure routing for specific partial application feature modules. Okay, so I can still do the same thing. Let me do. Doesn't like that. What don't you like? That's okay. Everything can be broken now. I deployed the completed filter feature this morning and clean up some branches. Feels nice to get reorganized. A queued response I do use. I got used to how it's all organized and understood the pipelines, and it also GitHub though for other projects. I like it too. Makes sense. Okay, did I just break my application? Technically not. So the app router. The app router. Port router out that providers planning to store. So we do that there, that there. Okay, with input. So this should now provide me ID string console.log ID. I shouldn't have to do anything else, right? He says. No suitable injection. Oh, but it doesn't do that way. It doesn't work that way. It works this way. Import ID public ID string. It works that way. However, let's do this. ID equals no, not signal, import dot required string. Does it work? It does. There we go. Sweet. That's much cleaner. So I had like 7 different versions available of that to do. Okay, so now extends, no, implements on init. And I realize the time is up. ng on init. Effect. Um, so this is going to be read only store equals inject planning items store. It's fine. No, what I kind of needed that. Input dot required string. It's interesting. Like it's not a string, it's a signal, right? Uh, planning item store with items query load detail for is actually what I want there. But that now gives me, see, that's what I don't. I've got to get into a single use versus multi, like the stores. I think I'm using completely incorrectly. I think I'm using them to do everything, whereas I probably don't need to use them to do everything. Or I'm not using them. Well, I'm using them incorrectly no matter what. I honestly believe I'm using the signal stores incorrectly. I just got to learn those pieces. So this dot. So we need a planning item. Item is a planning item. Define equals undefined. This dot item equals store. This dot store dot entities dot. Well, we could probably provide on here. We probably have methods. This dot load detail for. Then it's a promise here, right? Return new promise. Oh, it does. It does it already. Load detail for loads. It does what I want it to do. So can I do that there and do let this the item equals await that. Then we can do if item h1 item dot title. Sad. Writing signal is not allowed on a computer or an effect by default as well. I didn't write to the signal. Oh, this is this again. I got into this trouble the other day. I just want to get the detail page loaded before I call it a day. So the problem is you're not allowed to do this inside of one of these apparently without some hackery. So if we go and look for effect, I fixed this the other day in another thing I was trying to clean up. Not that one. Detail component. Nope, same one. Stop being in. That's a requirements component. Apparently I can do that because this is already, I'm not requiring I'm not looking for the store. I'm not trying to load the store here. Yeah, here we go. So what we do here is go back, and what this is doing is saying, okay, well, if this ID, then we move this inside there. And we don't need the async there. It kind of just schedules it off in the. It's like the nearest I can think about it so far is that it's kind of like threading in Windows Forms stuff. No, cannot read probably null of reading ID. Why did it read null of ID? What? I know threads in JS yet. Thank God. Things about to get really crazy in the near future when they arrive. It's I'm saying as far as I can wrap my head around it right now is you're not allowed to do certain things in the effect against stores unless you're being explicit. So you do this to kind of shift it into its own responsibility. It's the nearest I can like get it right in my head. Planning item store with items query. Again, there is so much to take in. This is just stuck in some weird. Okay, it does have an ID, so I did pass it in, but it's telling me that when it gets to here, oh, it's because I haven't loaded the store. It's actually correct. It's like that needs to load detail 4 needs to know if the entity exists. This should patch state current. Because the problem here is actually one of if current actually if current equals null, then otherwise that. So if current equals null, then patch state store that add entity updated. Resolver Updated. That's how that should go. New work laptop comes in tomorrow. Ugh, laptops. Pain in the backside. To be honest, I'd rather actually these days I'd actually rather carry around a wireless keyboard and mouse combo and one of these mini PCs. Way more powerful, way lighter, and the only challenge you have is you need a screen, but even that can be solved. I've got a portable screen. I've got my keyboard at home, so I'd be typing on a laptop. Yeah, you gotta keep it together as a kit. But when we started when we started doing dual office, etc., having a little mini PC that you could just plug in with the cable, have the cable set up at work and have the cable set up here, so you could just move back and forward. Just more practical because then it's a more powerful computer overall than a laptop and actually easy to carry. Um, uh, yeah, I want a new personal laptop. I thought remoting into my desktop with Tailscale would be good enough, but it's not. Yeah. Okay. Refactor this code not to nest. That's fine. Okay, let's see if this works now. Come on. One more go. One more go. Oh yeah. A lot of money. View. Why does this take so long? Okay, so current is undefined. Updated. Oh. Yeah, that's a problem. Yeah. More computers. All the computers. So the goal here is if I don't have it, then I want to put this into the store in its current form, right? Because I've got all the data I need for it. Fetch one should only ever, it should never cache and it should ask for the planning item by ID. So am I giving this the wrong ID is the problem. I probably need entity ID, don't I? I probably need entity ID. I don't even want to tell you how many computers I have around me here that I could actually use. I think the problem is on the inbox. I think I'm using the wrong ID. So we need to go to inbox message. I need that. I don't need that. I'm using the wrong ID. Inbox component. I need that one. $49-inch display. That's the one thing I haven't got to yet. Oh, so, are you airing now? Uh, GraphQL error. Did I alias this? Did I alias this as entity ID? I probably aliased it. No. Shared. Okay. So far, learning that the debugging experience here is less than ideal. Inbox store with inbox query. Get inbox. I did alias it, but my inbox message still has that. That's why. That'll look a bit healthier. I do enjoy sitting on the couch. I do not like sitting on the couch. Oh, I have a PC in the living room, a games PC in the living room, and I cannot get comfortable at all. Come on, come on, come on, come on. I'm rushing now, and this is not good. I need to finish this. Okay. There we go. Dialogue finding requirement. There we go. Nice. Okay. So detail page starting to be built. The idea here is that I can see all the information, I can see the descriptions, I can see the requirements and do all the panels and everything as a more detailed view. And it's a step forward. So we should be able to navigate down to these. Nice. But when I want to code downstairs and I'm not at my desk, a laptop would be handy. I've got a MacBook that I do sit and tinker with sometimes, but I don't like coding on it. And also I don't like having um I have too much stuff for this to be done on a MacBook. It's a 6-year-old MacBook at this point. So 8-year-old. No, how many years? 7-year-old Mac. Sit with I lay my back and have my laptop on my chest. It's hard to explain, but it can be comfy. No. Not for me. Anyway, I gotta run because it's 20 past 9. Um it's Wednesday, so later on online should be streaming, I hope. Um I tried running it on the Mac. Oh good. Um yeah, there's a lot to run. But anyway, I will be back tomorrow. We'll be finishing up this a bit. While I procrastinate some more on other things. So yeah. Who are we going raiding? I didn't figure that piece out because I was working on this. Andreas is streaming. Layla is doing web dev again. I'd like to take people to that sort of stream. Yeah, let's go back to Layla again. She's doing Aspire and stuff, so oh no, never mind. She's away. We're going to see Andreas. At least he's doing C#. So thank you for joining me. I will see you again tomorrow. Take care. I'll see you later on in one line stream. Hopefully, if I don't have meetings. Take care all. Bye.